Okay, guys. So in previous class, we saw how to create our custom response with exception handling. So that's the end for that particular project, and this was a project for performing some basic database CRUD operations. So there we did all the basic API operations. Like here it is: get one student, save one student, get all students, delete one student, and then update one student. So this comprises all the basic database operations. Now we are going to create new project, and with that project we have some requirement. So initially we are going to follow this approach. Okay, so we are going to create a new Spring Boot application. So initially we'll try to connect that application with database. Then as time progress, we will add multiple features.
Mhm.
So maybe not Swagger first, but we'll try to implement this
Maybe.
functionality. Okay, because this is missing in Spring Boot, but we have already done this in Hibernate. Okay, so let's start then. So already have this page. So we already aware about this what's happening here. We have to fill all these blanks. So project is going to be Maven type. Language is Java. Spring Boot version, it's fine. I'll just let me just confirm what was the previous version. So how you can confirm? Open the POM file and check this line. You will see there's a tag parent. So whatever information you will give here in terms of Spring Boot version and the specifications, you can find under this parent tag. So that's the Spring Boot thing. Then the artifact ID like a library, and this is 3.2.2 version, and that's the version of Spring Boot. So okay, I'll keep it 3.2.2. Then com.group. So I'll just call it CloudRago. Then artifact. That's our project name. So the idea is we are going to create one
Corona.
application. Yeah, coronavirus or something, right? We are going to build that application or API on that. So I'll call it Corona.
No, so virus, I think
Let's call it
virus
just
is
virus.
better.
Virus better. Let's call it virus and app. Fine. I'm calling it
Yes,
virus
sir.
app. Then I'll call it Spring Boot app on viruses. Okay, so everything is there. You can see till description, it's fine. But if you notice the package name, it says com.cloudraga dot, and then we have a hyphen, right? That's quite ugly here. We don't keep hyphens and extra other special characters. So what I'll do, I'll just remove this till here. That's my root package name, com.cloudraga.virus. Fine.
Okay,
And
sir.
packaging is jar for now, so let's keep it. Once we are going to deploy, so maybe we'll change it to var or jar as per the container thing. Container means what sort of thing we are going to use. So most probably we are going to use Docker when we are going to implement this whole thing. So for now, let's keep this packaging jar type, and Java version 17 is fine, and that's done. So left section is done. Now let's go to right side. So initially, as I said, we are going to perform DB operations. So that means we need a database jar file. So I'm going to use MySQL database. That's done.
JPA.
JPA, right? And
Sir, is web is Spring Web?
web,
Yes,
right?
sir.
That's
Right.
important. That's critical thing. Otherwise, you won't be able to use all those annotation, rest time, controller, and other stuff. Whatever, whatever is not, but rest time controller. But that will allow all the get endpoints, get mapping, set mapping, all those coming from here. So these are okay. Okay, so MySQL driver for database driver. This is for JP information, so we can use at entity annotations and other annotation specific to Hibernate, and then all the annotation specific to web. So if you are going to perform any operation which will be using your web operations or web thing, so you need to use this. Okay, so it looks good. Let's generate. Okay, generating. So let's do one thing here. Let's save it batch one. Here I'm going to save it. Virus app and save. Done. And even you can explore here. Already showed you how it works. So this is your project structure on left side. You can expand the stuffs. and this is src, the code where your application is going, and there is all the library stuffs. So there's a root tag dependencies for library, then you can see dependency for data JPA, one dependency for web, one dependency for MySQL, and one is default test, which always comes by itself. So we will remove it, and okay, it's already there. So let's check that out. Okay, and there, virus app. Okay, so let's expand it, extract to virus app. Let's cut it because you can see whenever you extract, so it creates a one nested folder. So I'll control X, going back, control P, and now if it's open, so there it is. Okay, so we're in the root of our project. Let's try to import this project in IntelliJ and see the impact. So here's the IntelliJ. So file, open project, batch one is here. There's a virus app selected. Click OK. Yes, trust this whole thing. Trust project, and now it's asking whether you want to open in the same window or new window. I'll pick new window. Why? Because I need to copy some code from here, right? From database configuration, and there may be some annotation or something. So I'll call it new window. So we already have a new project here. I mean old project, and in next tab we have a new project, and it is already synced because we already have all the libraries from previous project, so it won't download it again. Okay. Run src main java this there's our application, and the main class is virus app applications. That looks ugly. Let's fix it. Refactor, rename, and I'll call it just virus application. App is not required because it comes by default. Virus application is good. Refactor, okay, okay, looks good to me. Fine, there is all the application thing. So let's run the code and see what happens. So right click. First time you have to run from here because right now, otherwise you have to pick it. Where is your main method? You have to search it, edit configurations, or if you knows where is your main method, just right click and run it first time. Next time it will be picked by IntelliJ. Well, it won't work. Okay, what's missing here? Read and tell me if any idea.
यस सर, ये हमने सर डेटाबेस क्रिएट नहीं किया है जो मैप मैप करना होता है
Right,
एप्लीकेशन में जाकर.
correct. We don't have database, right?
यस
So,
सर.
so let's do this. We are going in MySQL Workbench. Let's create one more database. Let's create, right click, create schema. I'll call it virus, huh? Virus underscore DB and apply. I'll copy it, apply, apply, finish. Okay, so we have our database ready. Close all. So right now it's empty. Okay, no worries, we'll fill it. So let's quickly do the basic stuffs. I have to connect database or create database connections. That's the database name. So I'll go to previous project, open its application properties, and this I have to pick. Okay, cut it, and this is my database name. This is from previous batch. Paste it. Now it becomes new database. So everything remains same except the database name, right? So it looks good. Well, right now we don't have anything in our as in terms of entity class. So even if I run this code, at least this will run, no error or issue, but there will be no impact on your database. So application started 3.22 seconds, and if I go back to database, refresh all, so nothing is there, right? We don't have any entity class, the main class which will be mapped in your database. So let's quickly create all the packages, right? So that will be a good revision for you guys. So expand is fixed. Okay, so we have to create at least at least we have to create all these packages: controller, DAO, DTU, exception mapper, model, and service. So let's quickly do that. So right click on your root package, and I'm going to create new package. Let's start with controller. Done. Then right click, then new
सर्विस.
package, right? Service done. In the service,
Then down.
let me show you one thing. In service, we have one MPL, right?
Yes, sir.
Just do that. On right click on your service package, new, and call IMP.
Implementation class. Im-
Uh, we will do that
uh,
later. We will do that because we don't have any class there, so it will take it that way. So let's refactor it. Once we have some interface there, then I'll create sub package of it. Otherwise, it will add dot there. So let I'll do that. Um,
DAO class, sir.
right. Then right
Then
click, new. We call it
entity.
model. Model. Call it model. Huh? Model is better. You can call
Yes,
it
sir.
entity. Not an issue.
And DTO,
Tio and
mapper and exception.
mapper. Right. Then package exception. Right. So we have to use all these packages. Okay. Looks good. So from where we start? Controller, DAO, or where? Which package we have to pick first?
I think that a entity class.
Always, yes. Always we start with empty class. So we have some idea what, because see, we are not creating ideally in every application we have to create database first. In every application it happens. First of all, you have to design your database, then start working on your backend, and parallel you can start working on UI as well. But we always starts with database first. Okay, if we are talking about everything together, because we have a design in our mind. Okay, so that's our database, and that's how we create our Java classes, and that's how we have to show data in our UI. Okay, so right now we are not going to do that. That takes some more extra effort. So we'll keep it simple. We have two ways. Either you can do, we call this reverse engineering, where we create database, and from database we can have our entity class ready. Okay, we call that reverse engineering. So I mean, in this scenario. Okay, so we have to get
सर
entities, but we
सर
we haven't discussed it yet. Yes,
सर रिवर्स इंजीनियरिंग को आप क्या बोल के एक बार
मतलब
मतलब रिवर्स
डेटाबेस से हम लोग अपनी एंटिटी क्लासेस जनरेट कर रहे हैं. That we call that. Generating entity class from your database tables. That's also possible. Okay, multiple ways through Hibernate. See, in every field we have this term reverse engineering. So in here, when we say reverse engineering, that means we are generating entity classes, model classes from database table. So what people do, they create database, they create table, and then execute some scripts or some Java code by using Hibernate, and that script or Java code will convert your, I mean, not convert, but map or generate Java classes from the table. अभी इसमें क्या होता है, आपकी एंटिटी क्लास से टेबल बनती है, राइट? सेम वे उसको हमने रिवर्स कर दिया, अब टेबल से क्लास बनेगी आपकी. ठीक है, पर ऐसा नहीं होने वाला इसमें, बस आपको एक आइडिया दिया. तो बोथ वेज आर करेक्ट. इधर यू कैन गो फ्रॉम क्लास टू टेबल, or you can go from table to class. So we are going to use class to table. So we have to discuss what sort of models we have to create, right? So as we're talking about virus, so definitely we have to create one class virus. So let's keep it this set, virus class, and it will have ID, name, um, variant. Let's say
वेन
uh, if anything comes up, so we'll add it. But for now, these things are okay. And ID would be long type, name and variant would be string type, right?
यस सर
Okay, I'll write that as well. So int string.
सर लॉन्ग आईडी
Ah, yeah,
लॉन्ग
right.
होता है
That will be long. String. Okay, this is done. And we are going to create one more class, patient. There we would be having ID, name, email, contact number, um, what else? Contact number.
सर सर हम लोग इसी में रखेंगे मतलब उस पेशेंट को कौन सा इन्फेक्ट वायरस
Yes,
वायरस
please
है
have
तो
confirm.
टाइप ऑफ वायरस
राइट। सो एक काम करते हैं, लेट्स डू वन थिंग। अभी वन टू मैनी पे जाऊंगा तो मे बी इट विल कंफ्यूज यू, लेट्स मेक इट मोर सिंपल। लेट्स डू दिस वन टू वन फर्स्ट, okay? So idea is I'll create one more class here where the patient will be mapped one to one, okay? So let's say
Okay.
passport, okay? And here we will give ID and um, passport number, okay? So I'll just keep these two classes first initially, patient, passport, and once these get implemented, then I will attach virus with the patient, okay? So it will be passport, okay? So initially we are going to perform one to one, so that will be easy for you guys to understand. So what's happening? Then we will attach one to many concept here. Okay, so let's put this in a box and this box. So the design would be like this. So here initially we will keep it one to one. Okay, this relationship is going to be one to one. Once we will implement this properly with CRUD operations, I'll add only one or two CRUD operations. Okay, get or post. Rest you guys have to do. Fine. Get all, put, delete, whatever. Once we are done with this one to one, then we will attach patient with virus with one to many. So in future, we will add this as one to many. One patient with multiple viruses. It's possible that one patient can have multiple problems. So one to many. Okay, so this is our basic design. So let's follow this and create Java classes or entity classes. So going back to application, there's our model package, and let's start with new Java class. Let's call it patient. Okay, done. So what operation we have to use? ID, private ID, then private string name, email, private um, maybe sometimes contact number have some hyphen or stuff, so I'll keep it string. Okay, contact number, mobile number, whatever you want to call it, and then password class. So I'll create that password class later, but let's run it. See guys, we are going to use getter setter right now, but there's one library which is known as lombok. So check that out. Let me know tomorrow what you understood, then I'll implement it here. Lombok, okay? So that's your first homework. Lombok. And this is really simple. Just some annotation and done. So check out what is Lombok and how to use with Spring Boot. Okay, so we have our class ready. One mapping is missing. Let's add it. That is password class. So at least we can show, okay, our one to one mapping is performed. Oh, sorry, it's not a file. It need to create a Java class. Passport, then same private long ID and private. Let's keep it string. Let's keep it passport doesn't have anything. Let's call it long. Okay, passport. Okay, so two fields. Let's not get a setup for now, but later we'll fix it. We are going to use Lombok in maybe next classes. So generate getter setter all fields. Okay, done. And we need to create one. Okay, I missed that class. So private passport passport and O capital हो गया क्या? इसको छोटा करो. So, okay, one more tip, guys, for you. Whenever you have added any modified any field, like I just did, initially it was capital O, I just renamed it to NO. So never change these things manually. If you are using getter setter explicitly, which is never going to happen, but in case if you're generating it by yourself and writing getter and setter like this way, so and if you do any change on your variables, just remove them. Okay, regenerate them. Don't try to write them. By writing, you might do some mistake, and that's inevitable. It happens with everyone. Maybe it's a junior person, junior developer, or senior developer. Always try to use your system. That's why we have this whole luxury here to generate it through tool. Otherwise, what's the point of using ID? Use your own anything. So always generate them if you do any changes on your field. Delete and regenerate. And plus, I will also use toString. So right click, generate toString, and okay. Okay, so for now it's good. And let's generate get a certain toString for this class as well. So generate get a setter fields. Okay, done. Not refactor. Generate toString and okay, so looks good. Now let's make them, because right now it's just a Pojo class, right? Not a special thing, so we have to convert this Pojo class to special class entity classes. So at entity from Jakarta library, and at table, brackets, name, and call this patient underscore tb. Okay, that's done. Then we have to use at id, then at generated value strategy identity. Okay, that's done. So let's use the same thing on our passport class. It will be passport tb. Okay, looks fine. And if you notice, just want to walk through what we just did here. Same thing is done here, right? Entity table and id here, and getter setters and toString. Okay, going back to new project, there it is. So it's done. What's next? Right now, only we knows that patient and passport are connected with one-to-many relationship, but our system, our Spring Boot application does not know, right? So we have to tell this that these classes patient and passport are connected with one-to-one. And how to do that? By using at annotation at one-to-one. Okay, this is done. Okay, looks fine. And what's next? Let's just run the code. And if everything was fine, we should have two tables, patient and passport, connected in one-to-one. So you can see two scripts are running, has been run. Passport TB, patient TB, some auto increment stuff because we have generated primary key. Then some mapping is happening, alter table patient. It is adding the foreign key there. And then let's have a look on our database structure. And if you refresh this time, refresh all. Here we have a expand this. Passport TB is here, ID and passport number, and patient. There it is. And if you notice, we have one extra column, passport ID. So whatever data you will enter in this passport table, you can always refer it from this ID. So now patient has its own detail plus its passport on details by referring this ID. Okay, so table looks good to me. Let's go back and create next layers. So after this, what's next? Which layer, Vivin? Let's start the server.
Sir, D2 and now D2, sir.
Okay, so I'll copy this. Okay, right click,
Yes, sir.
copy, and in here I'll paste it. Yes, and
सर एक
let
बार आप पासपोर्ट वाला ओपन करेंगे आगे।
दीजिए।
यहाँ पे सर आपने मैपिंग नहीं लगाई है इंटीग्रेट।
वन टू वन की जरूरत क्यों पड़ेगी? वन टू वन इज वन यूनिडायरेक्शनल. इन वन टू
ओके
मैनी यू
सर।
नीड टू यूज दैट बिकॉज वन टू मैनी इज बाई डायरेक्शनल. वो दो तरफ से काम करती है. फ्रॉम वन साइड इट्स वन टू मैनी, फ्रॉम अदर साइड इट्स मैनी टू वन. लुक
ओके
एट हियर.
सर।
ओके, डोंट गेट कंफ्यूज. यहाँ पर अगर आप पेशेंट एंड पासपोर्ट देखोगे तो अगर आप पासपोर्ट देखोगे तो भी एक इन रियल वर्ल्ड इफ पर्सन इज लेजिट, पेशेंट या पर्सन जो भी होगा उसके पास एक ही पासपोर्ट होगा, राइट? अगर मल्टीपल पासपोर्ट है मतलब वो कुछ और ही काम कर रहा है एटलीस्ट, राइट?
यस सर।
पर इन रियल सिनेरियोज वी शुड हैव वन टू वन रिलेशनशिप. So either you go from passport to patient or patient to passport. It's always one to many. But if you look from here, patient to virus. So from patient side, it's one to many. One person or one patient can have multiple viruses. And here, virus, and if you see from virus to patient, so virus are many and person is one. So it goes like many to one. On
Uh-huh.
patient side, it's one to many. So that is one to many. There we have to use this annotation at both sides. Okay. So
Okay.
one to one is fine. You can just keep it at one side and always make sure that which class you are making it your primary class. So right now you can see both classes, virus and patient passport are connected with patient class. So this is a primary class. So this is our left side. So we always use all these annotation at your primary table or primary class. So most of the annotation goes here only on patient. Fine. So we were working on this class. Let's move extra stuffs from here. Okay, it's done. Let's remove this line here. Okay, this becomes simple Pojo class. Same thing we have to do here. Let's remove this, 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 and looks fine. So now it also becomes one simple Pojo class. Close it. Okay, so we have passport class and patient class ready. And okay, now we are done with DTO. Now what's next? DTO is done.
Sir, DAO class.
DAO class, correct. So how many DAO class we have to create? One or two?
1 second, sir.
Hmm. We have two entity classes, passport and patient.
सर एक ही हमें क्रिएट करना पड़ेगा ना.
एक से क्या होगा अगर आपको परफॉर्म करने ऑपरेशन पासवर्ड पर फिर कैसे करोगे थिंक अबाउट यू हैव टू फैच ऑल द पासपोर्ट डिटेल तो एक पर्सन के पास तो एक ही पासवर्ड होगा पर आपको सारे पासवर्ड निकालने डेटाबेस से तब हाउ थिंक अबाउट बोथ आर डिफरेंट एंटिटीज
Yes, sir.
पासवर्ड एक खुद का एक क्लास है पेशेंट एक खुद का क्लास है व्हेन इट कम्स टू एपीआईज सो एपीआईज इंटरेक्ट विद वन एंटिटी एट अ टाइम एटलीस्ट इन इनिशियल
Oh,
केसेस है ना
yes.
so if you have to perform multiple operations on different entities then so DAO will not help. So it means you have to create two different DAO classes. Okay. So here I'll call it first patient because that's our primary table here. Patient DAO, and I'll call it interface or enter. There it is, and I'll say extends
JPA
JPA
repository.
repository, right? And which for which class we're going to create patient,
Patience, yes, sir.
na?
And
Comma
ID is key long type it
long
long,
time
yes.
in wrapper class, not small l, capital L, and mark this class at repository, and that's it, right? Likewise, we'll create one more class for um, passport. Okay, so always remember if you have 10 entity classes, so you have to create 10 DAO classes. Okay,
Okay, sir.
unless you want to customize certain stuffs there, which makes things critical. Okay, passport DAO. Okay, done. There's a passport DAO. Everything same. I just copy it paste. Don't do this. Okay, you have to write everything. So I just created this class and let's make it passport.
Fast.
And if you think okay, this type, so I'll also type. I can type. So one class is for patient, patient DAO, there's patient. One class for passport, passport. Okay, both classes good. Let's close them. So we are done with DAO. And of course, in DAO class, we don't add anything, at least initially. In this project, we'll do that. So now let's create service layer. So
Yes,
Java
sir.
class, let's focus on patient first.
It's interface, I think, patient
Huh,
interface.
I'll do that. Don't worry. Patient service, interface, and looks good. Done. Now we'll create one more
Class.
interface class. But we'll start working on only one for it.
So,
Okay, passport service,
this interface.
interface, right, and done. Why we're doing this? Because here we are telling about some basics interface functionality, like we did in previous project. Let me refer there. So this service and we have created student service. So these were the operations we have to perform. Get all students, save, delete, update. Something similar we have to do here. And if you go back to one sub package is there, IMPL service. So this class is implementing all the services, and this class is marked with add service. We do the same here. So this is patient service. Okay, so initially we are going to perform um, uh, let's say get, but we don't have any, so let's start with post, because now we already know how it works. So it goes like patient from DTO, because it will return. Make sure that from where you're picking it, okay? And let me do one change. I forgot. Let's rename it, because otherwise it will confuse you guys. Not you, everyone. Rename. It should be DTO, right? Refactor. Okay, done. Likewise, refactor this DTO. Okay, now better. Okay, patient now, and I'll say save patient. Save looks good. I mean, otherwise let's create patient, and it will take one object of patient type. Okay, it's done. Now let's create one IMP for it. So there's our service. Right click, new package, and we call IMP. And inside this package, I'll create one class, patient service IMP. Okay, and that's our class done. This class is I want to implement patient service class or interface, and let's mark it uh, service. Okay, done. And because it does not implements that method, so we will over and implement methods. Right now just we have one method. Done. Okay, this class is also ready, at least basic structure, and we'll come back to this class, but for now we have to deal with controller. So controller, new Java class, and of course for password we have to create different controller. Okay, so now we are focusing on one form controller. Okay, patient controller is done, and we have to mark this class with at rest controller. Now we need to create some entities, or not entities, endpoints. So we'll say public. For now, patient will reform it. Patient DTO create patient. It will take at request body patient DTO, and then body starts. And we have to auto certain things here. So I'll say private with small p, private which class, patient service, the interface. Always auto var your interfaces. Okay, and here we say patient service dot create patient, pass the patient DTO, and we are good to go. Okay, and return it. So I'm going to fix only one endpoint with end to end, then we'll move further. Okay, this is done. Now let's go back to our actual logical section. There it is. So idea is we need to save patient, and if you remember we have to create some mapper stuff. So for now I'll create one data transfer from here and there, and then I'll move that code from this service to mapper class. So right now I will add every single code here, then I'll move that data transfer from DTO to entity and entity to DTO with proper command, so you can understand it. Okay, so the idea is first of all we have to save the student, right? Save patient. So idea is what to do: copy data from DTO to entity, right? This is the idea way to do. So if you need to copy, you need to create a class patient DTO this patient. Done. Then I'll say patient dot set. ID is not required because we are creating. ID gets auto generated. So we'll start with name, and we'll say patient DTO dot get name. Okay, good. Likewise patient dot set email, patient DTO dot get email. Now patient dot set, what is left, contact number, patient detail dot get contact number, and patient dot set. Now we have an object passport, right? So for that, here things some critical section. Okay, we need to initialize that passport class as well. Passport. So we have to create one object for passport entity as well. New passport. Good. I will say passport dot set. ID is auto generated because that's the primary key. We'll fix set only passport number. So that comes from here. Notice carefully. Patient detail dot get passport. This we have to fix. It is referring something else. Right? Because it should be patient. Not here. Patient detail. Um, I need to rename this variable name. I'll call this patient detail. Okay. So there will be no confusion. It's always detail. So since I changed that, I'll remove that getter setter and toString. So we can regenerate it from this scratch. Getter done. Right click. Uh, Generate toString and okay, done. Okay, file looks fine. I just renamed the variable because it was quite confusing what I just called. It just says get password. So now it should be get password DTO, then get password number. And then I'll say we have already done this in Hibernate. Don't get confused what I'm just doing. I'm just setting up all the fields. And passport, passport is here. Done. So we are done with all the details of patient. So ID is auto generated, then name, email, contact number. When it comes to setting passport, so we need to get the data from DTU. So patient DTU dot get passport DTU dot get passport number. That's the basic core Java. We are not doing any magic here. No rocket science, simple data transfer. And password object is ready. Then I set that password here. So patient object is ready. Now what I can do, I need to auto wire the DAO layer, right? So we'll say private, what's the patient DTO DAO, patient DAO, and we will auto wire this as well. Auto wired. Okay. Now we have DAO with us, so I'll use that patient DAO dot save patient and done. Once we have this line 30, patient dot save, so it will create that an entry in your table. It will also return something. And once it gets returned, I need to fill that DT object because this is what we want to return from service to controller file. So let's hold that. We'll say patient again, patient which is coming from database, and I'll call this DB patient. Just name it whatever you want, but it should be clear to you what you're doing, why we are doing this, because it's coming from DB. I'm calling it DB patient. Now whatever we have done above, we are going to do its reverse. So initially it was DTO to entity. Now we are going to do reverse, entity to DTO. So I'll comment after saving the record, copy data from DTO to not a DTO, from entity to DTO.
Did you?
Yep. So now we have to create DTO object. We create patient DTO. Call it response patient. Okay, done. Now try to start. Now we have to return the ID as well. So we can say set ID, but that's coming from database. Set ID and then this response DTO. This is wrong, not response DB patient. Okay, then set name. Always be in sequence, so you will never get confused. Set name. Response DTO dot set email dot email dot set contact number. This is done. These are some basic variables. Now we are talking about object because this patient DTO has passport DTO as well. So we have to create one passport object. So passport DTO response DTO equals new passport DTO. Done. Then response DTO dot set ID, not set ID, sorry, response passport dot set ID, and this will come from DB patient dot get that password, and from there get the ID. Done. Now we say response DTO dot set passport number. Set passport number. So we'll say DB patient dot get passport dot get passport number. And once everything is there, I will initialize. What happened? Type mismatch semicolon. It's long here, and in patient it's also long. So what's the issue? Get, oh, not get, it's set.
That is it.
Okay, done. Okay, so this is also done. So let's fill that passport to response patient DTO dot set password DTO, and it goes here. Finally return that. Okay, that's it. So this section was converting DTO to entity, then saving it in database. Then once we have proper data, or and our record is saved, so whatever comes back from database, we are holding it here. Then initializing DTOs because we have to run DTO only. And then we have a controller which calls and returns whatever coming back, which is also expecting DTO. Okay, looks fine to me. Let's run the code and see what happens. So code executed. Oh, sorry, we don't have endpoint name. We have to do that. Stop the server. So it's post request. Then let's say this patient, patients basically, right? And okay, now it's fine. Okay, service started. Let's close other tabs. Okay, and now we have to create something which is duplicate and for this one. Okay, let's first of all save as. It was basic collection API, right? Here, collection. Let's call this virus app. Okay, virus app. So I'm creating a new collection for you guys. That's here. And now let's say save one patient in DB and save. Okay. Now let's fix it because we have a different structure this time, right? Different structure means when it comes to DTO, because this is what we're going to send. It has ID not required, but name, email, contact number, and password. So what you have to do, copy the same, okay? So you will never do any mistake. So start with name. Okay, we already have name, that's good. Email, okay, email is already there, that's good. Then put a comma. Next field is contact number. So I'll copy this. At least you can copy paste. This I will allow you. Then let's say plus 91. Okay, whatever number. Then oh, just a second. Contact number is string. Okay, fine. Comma. Then passport. Now, what's our reference of it? Passport DTO. So write it as it is. Okay, double quotes, paste, colon. Now, passport DTO is actually a class, right? And when it comes to class, that means we are going to create its object. And whenever we are going to create any object or something in JSON, it goes like this.
curly
right?
bracket.
Curly braces. ID is auto-generated, so we don't need to pass because it's a post request. But we need passport number. So I'll copy this field here, then comma, and this. Then you can enter anything. Okay, that's my passport number. So we are done with this. Save and okay, let's test it. So application already up. Let's send the request and see what happens. Okay, we have error not found. Not students, right? It's
Essence.
okay. So request sent again. Okay, now we have error. Let's see what's the error. Yep. Why? Because we are just saving only patient. But what about passport? We are not saving passport. So let's do this in a real bad way. Little do that as well. So we are just saying save patient. But what about passport, right?
यस मैं
So let
पासपोर्ट हमने बनाया नहीं पासपोर्ट क्लास
or okay, let's try this way. Otherwise, I'll tell you the better way. So passport and DB passport. Start the server. There comes the issue. Okay, we can't do this way. Let's learn it in a proper because we don't have password data now, right? I just confused. We have to create one down layer otherwise. So what we will do, we'll go back to patient class and here I'll say cascade. Okay, and here we just need to say cascade all. So what it says in simple terms, whatever operation you are going to perform on your main class, here it is patient class. So whatever operation you are going to perform on your main class, same operation will be performed on its child classes. So right now, what's child class? Passport. Fine. So what I'm doing here, saving the patient. So that operation will be eligible on passport class as well. Okay. So once you're saving patient, so all the details of password will also get saved. This is what Cascade do, and definitely it's the right time for the people to go through this. What is cascading? Okay. I'll type it. Okay. So it's done. Let's run the code, and something happened on the database side. So let's fix it. Empty, empty. Okay. So server started. Let's try again this endpoint. Request send, and you can see something is coming up, right? This is from database. That means this record is saved there. And if you check, close this. So this is passport. Execute. There's entry of passport. ID is 1. And if you execute this one, we have ID 2 for this because this is auto-generated. So don't worry about that. But we have contact number, email, name, and this ID is here with this password attached. So yes, we have successfully saved our first record by performing one CRUD operation, right? So that's how it works. So we are done with one basic steps and one piece of code of with this one. Okay, so let's continue our code in next session and we will try to perform other basic CRUD operations on uh, passport class as well. So in next session, we will create one DAO layer. I mean, all the operations we did there, plus I will extract all the mappings. Sorry, wrong project. Let's close this now, not required. So whatever operation we have performed on this class, service line, right? This. So I will extract all this code and move it to mapper class. And we will try to create one exception classes as well there. Fine. So next class, we will create DAO layer for passport, all the endpoints for that, then mapper and exception. Fine. But in next class. So see you in there. Bye bye.